And tonight we are live for another edition of NASCAR 06 Total Team Control on the channel. And this evening we have a Cup Series race for you guys on our custom schedule season. And we are racing at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. This is the start of the second half of the season as we have 18 races down, 18 more still to go to crowning a champion. And in last night's, or I should say yesterday afternoon's, Brickyard 400 at Indianapolis, we had another first-time winner this season. Kurt Busch got his first victory of the year, now sitting us with 9 different winners on the season. And our driver, unfortunately, Greg Biffle, fell off the pit strategy late, ended up with a 24th place finish mid-pack. Now has finished 4 of the last 5 races outside the top 15. Looking to bounce back today at Las Vegas, as it has been over 6 races since his last win. We'll see what he can do today. No qualifying, no practice. We're starting from the rear of the field. Night race at Old Las Vegas coming your way live on the channel. Hit that like button. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content as we get into tonight's full race live stream, realistic commentary coverage. Alan Barkley, Wade Selinsky, and others, welcome into the stream. We're going to get this one underway already. 11 likes, haven't even started the race yet. Appreciate that so much from you guys. And last night's winner, Kurt Busch, will be on the pole at Las Vegas to kick things off. And rolling down into the first turn at a flat Las Vegas Motor Speedway today. Kurt Busch leading the field to the green. And this should be a wild one. Mile and a Halves have been putting on some good races from this game in the past. We haven't had many on the custom schedule season so far, but a lot of them in the middle chunk of the season here. And it starts today with Las Vegas. First lap, Greg Biffle going down to the apron through the tri-oval, looking to make some passes underneath the 0-1 of Joe Nemechek. Very close to him, almost making contact down into turn 1. He's a little hesitant to try and make some passes. A lot of 2 and 3 wide racing going on in front of him. A lot of 3 wide action towards the back. First lap was led by pole sitter Kurt Busch, but Ryan Newman to the lead on lap 2 off of turn 2. And Newman will lead the second lap of the race. Greg Biffle underneath the 11 of Jason Leffler. 3 wide. Around Joe Nemechek, Shane Meal. Biffle's very patient last night in the Brickyard 400. Didn't really pan out for him due to, again, falling off strategy late. Ended up getting some damage at the rear of the field on a late race restart. Looking to picking up some positions here at the back of the field on cars we know he is probably much quicker than. All the way down to the apron. The apron is not necessarily the preferred line, but it is a line available to these guys, especially early in the run before the tires really start to wear out. And Greg Biffle's using that to his advantage early as he's making a lot of 2 and 3 wide moves down to the inside of the racetrack and making these passes. Kyle Busch forces, sorry, not Kyle Busch, that's the 43 of Jeff Green, who thought about going up the middle 3 wide between Biffle and Vickers off of turn 2. Falls in line instead just behind the 16. Biffle still making 3 wide moves. So close to the grass without touching it. He is going about as low as you could possibly get to try to make these moves for position. Mark DeMars, Michael Turner also welcome into the stream. Terry Labonte right in front of Greg Biffle now. Jimmy Spencer up towards that outside lane. That's who Biffle's alongside this time off turn 2. Had 8 cautions in the Brickyard 400 last night. The second half of the season starts today. We've got a lot of Cup Series racing over the next couple of weeks on NASCAR 06. Big chance for Biffle to make or break his championship hopes. Getting squeezed by Terry Labonte on the front stretch. Backs out early going into turn 1 as Labonte was not giving him much room to make that corner. And Labonte now to the inside of his other teammate Kyle Busch in the 5. Biffle going to dive to the inside in turn 3, trying to go 3 wide underneath the 44 and the 5. Way down low is Biffle. Clears both the 44 and the 5 car, and now he's underneath his other teammate of Carl Edwards in the 99. Edwards stuck on the outside lane. Kenny Schrader and Mike Bliss have just gotten around him. Biffle overdrives the entry to the corner. And Edwards is able to get down into the bottom lane right in front of Biffle. And Kyle Busch going to try to cross Terry Labonte over as well as he had to check up. Biffle definitely took advantage off that start. Now he's kind of stuck in 22nd. Gonna have to take advantage of the restarts at a flat track here, like this old Las Vegas layout. Now, the race at Las Vegas in 2005, which is when this game came out, as well as races prior to that, were all in the daytime. They didn't have lights to this track until the mid-2010s, is when they added lights. So it's kind of a fantasy track in the sense that it's at night, when there weren't lights at the racetrack at this time. Or actually, no, never mind, there was lights on the track at the time. They just didn't host cup events under the lights until the mid-2010s. Bit of a big moment there for Biffle. Big slide job to get by Edwards in turns 1 and 2. Finally gets by his teammate for 21st. Diving down to the apron now to get underneath the 36 of Boris Said. So Newman's led every lap except for the first lap of the race. And Greg Biffle in this 16 car making a lot of passes right now, considering he started last. Yeah, I know. I meant to say the cup races weren't at night, not necessarily that the track itself didn't host night races. They ran IndyCar at night at one point in time as well. Biffle being very aggressive, but he's keeping the car clean at the same time as he just ran his fastest lap of the race. Underneath Mike Bliss, who has got the most top 10s in the Cup Series so far this season. Rainer Martinez, welcome into the stream also. Now, Ryan Newman's had some speed here in recent races. Still sitting at just the 2 wins this year, both at Talladega. Dale Jr., Sterling Marlin will get past, and Biffle is up to 13th, running his fastest lap of the race at last time of a 31.677. Looks like a 3-car breakaway at the very front of the field. Dale Jr. going to cross Marlin over for 14th, and he's all over the back of the 16 off turn 2 again. Bobby Labonte to the inside of another DEI car of Michael Waltrip. 31.577 that last lap. Means Biffle was more in the open. Waltrip going to slide down right in front of the 16. Biffle's going to have to sit behind him. But now into turn 3, Biffle will make the dive. And Bobby Labonte looking very low as well. Look how low Biffle is. He's not going to be able to hold the apron as the tires start to wear out, so that's why he's really trying to take advantage of this early in the run while he did not qualify and had to start at the tail end of the field. Biffle underneath Bobby Labonte, who just left the bottom open. Biffle didn't have to go to the apron that time. Same goes for the other GGR Chevrolet of Tony Stewart. I'm sure you meant Ryan Newman as the Rocket Man, yep. I'm sure you weren't referring to Elton John. Last time I checked, he's never been in the sport of NASCAR. 31.489 that last lap, 3 wide into turn 1. Biffle underneath Harvick and Sadler. And after starting at the tail end of the field, he is already up to 6th. Just clearing Harvick off turn 2. Jimmy Johnson to the bottom to follow the 16. And Mark Truex Jr. qualified really well. Rookie. About to get passed by Biffle as well. A 1.6 seconds off the race lead right now and side by side for 5th place. Checking up a little extra in the middle of the corner. Truex trying to hold on to that outside pretty well right now. Biffle beats him back to the accelerator, had the shortest way around the corner, and he's going to clear him into turn 3. Who's Keegan Jr.? Biffle to the inside of Kurt Busch for 4th. taking the shortcut now through the tri-oval. Down to the apron, breaking whatever draft Kurt Busch might have had behind him. That will wear out the tires quite a bit as well, going down there on a consistent basis. Only the second time he's done so in 18 laps, and the first time since the opening lap of the race. Looks like Jeff Gordon's in third. I can't tell who's in second. Maybe Matt Kenseth. But Ryan Newman is definitely the leader. And Kurt Busch again led that first lap of the race from the pole, so he at least got 5 bonus points. He sits in a tie for third in the standings with Carl Edwards. Both have 1 win. Tiebreaker is the average finish. A second tiebreaker is average finish. If you're tied in wins, and Carl Edwards a slightly better average finish than Kurt Busch. New track in NASCAR, Chicago Roval. Well, it's not really a Roval at Chicago, it's a street course race. So it's not going to be at Chicagoland Speedway. It's going to be downtown. And it is Kenseth, by the way, in second. He's losing Ryan Newman just a bit. Greg Biffle slowly starting to reel these guys in at the front of the field. Got through the first 40 cars pretty quickly. These next 3, though, going to be a little tougher now that they've gotten out ahead of the rest of the field. Jeff Gordon challenging Matt Kenseth for second place on the backstretch heading towards turn 3. I think if Greg Biffle could get track position today, he's going to be very, very tough to beat. Considering the pace he has already ran in the early going. Gordon slipped up the track a bit in 3 and 4. A couple car lengths down behind Kenseth this time off turn 2. Lap before he was challenging for second place going into the corner, but couldn't stick the bottom. Runs a bit off the bottom again. Greg Biffle, all 4 tires, still down below that white line on the apron, 22 laps into the run. He'll do the same thing through the tri-ovals as he tries to get to the inside of the 24 car for third. Side by side into turn 1 as that inside lane is now well opened up. Biffle dives. Not quite going to get underneath the 24. He's lifted a little extra in the middle of the corners if he feels he's not going to be able to actually get underneath the car without making contact. Doesn't want to risk wrecking, of course. A little loose that time getting into turns 3 and 4, and he had to back out of the gas, so the apron didn't stick too well for Greg Biffle that time around. And Ryan Newman starting to pull away just a bit more at the front of the field. Especially as the battle for second, third, and fourth go on behind him. Malcolm X, thanks for tuning in. Time to race again, Chum. Once again, can't handle it. Where did this guy come from? Why is he calling out my driving? Just came in to roast me in the chat, I guess. He's not the real Malcolm X. Fell to about 1.3 seconds off the lead. He got a bit loose. Pushing just a hair over the edge when trying to challenge Gordon for third, but he's quickly back to about 0.8 of a second off the lead just a few laps later. Just ran a 31.583 that last lap at the start-finish line. And 27 laps in right now. Jeff Gordon's been on a bit of a hot streak here lately. Of course, had back-to-back wins at both Bristol and IRP. Top 10 in the Brickyard 400 and already compete for the lead early. He did lead laps in the Brickyard 400 yesterday as well. Biffle really going at it though. He tries to get underneath Gordon for third. I don't think he's quite close enough yet into turns 1 and 2. Top 4 within a half a second of the race lead. Biffle lifts to keep it off the wall off turn 2. So that time he got back in the gas a little too soon down on the bottom of the racetrack. But at least he's catching the car enough before he ends up pounding the wall. So he has kept it off of there for these first 28 laps. The mile and a halves on this game are just very, very difficult. In the sense that you have to race to absolute perfection. And Matt Kenseth here, as we start to get closer to the halfway point of this first fuel and tire stint of the race, has really closed in on Ryan Newman. Trying to potentially get around him for position. Greg Biffle himself pushing really hard still. No out of bounds to go to that apron, obviously, all the way around the track. It's all a drive/race at your own risk at that point. Jeff Gordon to the inside of Matt Kenseth. That would be for second place, and Biffle's able to follow the 24 cars. The 17 stuck on the outside, and Biffle's going to finally move up to third. Though he still sits behind Gordon. Biffle a lot lower than the 24 car. Can he get underneath him off turn 4? And I believe he potentially has. Taken that shortcut again. Biffle's had really aggressive lines in the early going of this race. Side by side for second place into turns 1 and 2. And Biffle's going to slide up. He clears Jeff Gordon with a clean pass. Biffle up to second place now. Into turns 3 and 4, just a couple car lengths behind race leader Ryan Newman, who has led quite a few laps now. All but that first lap of the race Newman has led thus far. Billy Kramer also welcome into the stream. Biffle a bit wide going into the corner that time. Can't really force Ryan Newman into a mistake that time, as Newman also kind of went wide himself. Biffle going potentially low. Ryan Newman was there, and Biffle couldn't get underneath the 12. Might be able to now. Into turn 1, he's going to take the deep dive. Halfway through the fuel run right now. Lap 34, and side by side for the lead off turn 2. And Biffle's going to be clear off turn 4 as he will lead for the first time tonight. From last to first in 34 laps at Las Vegas, Greg Biffle out in front in the Las Vegas 400. Looking to strike back into victory lane for the 7th time this season tonight. He still sits 6th in points. Jeff Gordon, the points leader, though, sitting in 3rd. Biffle really does not want Gordon to potentially get up here and try to take the lead. We'll take our first field pass of the race. At the start-finish line this time with Biffle in the lead for the first time. We'll go to Mark Martin in the 6th car next. Martin pretty deep in the field yet, back in the 33rd place position. I noticed he qualified quite a bit further back in the field himself. Snow in the forecast for your area tonight and tomorrow. Yeah, we had our first snowfall Saturday. It wasn't actually sticking to like the roads or anything though. Ground temp was a little too warm. It was kind of windy though, so there was like ice sticking to the signs, but like street signs stuff, but that was about it. But the only thing the snow really actually stuck onto. Mark making a few passes up to 29th place, getting by 3 cars that last lap. 4 stops definitely. Yeah, that's what I would probably think. 31.473 that last lap for Mark Martin. Pretty quick one. He's not even halfway on fuel yet. I'd say Mark is pacing pretty well right now. Really saved his tires at this point in the run as he's finally starting to move forward. He's fallen just outside the top 10 in points over recent races. Staying way low to keep Kyle Petty from trying to side draft him there. Martin up to 26. One more lap with the 6, and then we'll transfer to another Roush Fenway Ford next time by at the start-finish line. Greg Biffle still holding on to the lead at the front of the field. Martin to the inside of Ricky Rudd. Should get by Kenny Schrader into turn 3 as well. And Martin will move up to 24. So we passed 9 cars in 4 laps with Mark Martin. And we will transfer now to Kurt Busch in the 97 car next. Kurt Busch in 8th place after starting on the pole. So he's fallen back quite a bit as of right now. Kurt Busch about 4.5 seconds off the race lead. See if we can get Kurt back up in the running order a little bit more. Could see some drivers short pit as well to try to get some of this track position back, because the tires will wear, especially at a flatter 1.5 miles, maybe even more so in Las Vegas nowadays. Halfway out of gas at this point for Kurt Busch in the run. Lap 42 in 8th place. Three laps short to make it the full distance. Talk about on 3 stops. I mean, all we need is 1 or 2 cautions in this race, and we'll be able to make it off of that. .464 that last lap for Kurt Busch, his fastest of the race. Really starting to pick that pace up here in recent laps. Harvick, Stewart challenging each other for position. Kurt Busch all the way to the apron to get underneath the 38 car of Elliott Sadler. And we will go to Carl Edwards in the 99 next, as he sits back in the 15th place position at lap 45, and he is 8.1 seconds behind teammate Greg Biffle, who is out in front still. Dreaming of a white Thanksgiving. I think next week it's supposed to warm up a little bit. It's supposed to be in like the mid-40s at my house, so I know that that won't happen here. Most times we usually don't get massive snowstorms where I live in November. We have before. I can remember a couple years ago snowing like really early in the month of November. Like a week or two before Thanksgiving, we had like a couple inches one day. 31.414 with Kurt Busch. Yeah, that's hauling the mail. Truck's really falling back. He was in the top 5 when we saw Biffle driving through the field. He was up as high as 5th. Had a good qualifying effort. Now he's about to drop back to 15th. Once Carl Edwards in the 99 gets by him. And now he's looking to get underneath the 15 of Michael Waltrip off turn 2 as well for 13th. We'll be clear in the middle of 3 and 4. Don't think we're going to catch Bobby Labonte in the 18 car, who's in 12th in the next lap before we switch to Matt Kenseth in the 17 car. Big snows usually occur late January, February. That seems about right. About the same for me, too. We'll get some big ones every, so often, like December, early part of the year. Like I said, November. I mean, even the last couple of years, it seems like we get like one snowstorm into March. Back to Matt Kenseth we go next, as he sits in the 4th place position right now. And we'll see if we can get him up to 2nd, potentially. I think there's a good chance at it. Biffle just holding that track position. He's not pulling away from these guys. But he's definitely hard to pass when he's got the clean air advantage. Top 4 still within a half a second of the race lead right now. Gordon went to block Kenseth in the tri-oval, but Kenseth was already underneath the 17. A little bit more momentum, though, for Gordon. He tries to get underneath Ryan Newman, not going to be able to get there. Kenseth gets by Gordon through turns 1 and 2, and quickly is on the inside of Ryan Newman for 2nd. Newman trying to squeeze the 17. Kenseth all the way down to the apron with all 4 tires close to the grass. It clears Newman off the exit of turn 4 for 2nd. And he may go after Greg Biffle to try and lead a lap and try to get 5 bonus points potentially. If not, he may just sit behind the 16, which I think is going to be the case. So Kenseth not going to be looking at trying to pass Greg Biffle. With a much wider arc going into the corners. Kenseth willing to just kind of sit behind him right now. Even through the tri-oval. One more lap with the 17. Lifted way early into turn 1. Ryan Newman back to 4th place now as Jeff Gordon is back up to P3. Quarter of a tank of gas left for Greg Biffle. This point in the run. Slides down into turn 1 right in front of the 17 cars. He holds on to the race lead. Kenseth block. That's alright. I'm not too worried about it right now. I think the 16's got the speed with the clean air. Obviously, he drove up as far as he did. He's probably got to pit before everybody else also, which I would think means that he's going to be able to cycle out in front of him. Unless they decide to pit before Biffle and try to play a different game. And Gordon now to the inside of Kenseth off turn 2. trying to get back into second place. Surprised nobody has caught any lap traffic this far into it. You can see some of the lap cars towards the tail end of the field. Honestly, I don't see why you should make any adjustment changes, at least during this first stop. If you're Greg Biffle, the car is handling really, really well. It's got speed. He's able to pass in traffic. And obviously in clean air, it's pretty good also. Pretty flat entry into the corner. Still holds it most of the way through. Kent is still trying to play a little defense on Ryan Newman back in third. Last week of golf. And unfortunately, I was not able to play since Friday was the last time. It's been in the low 40s at highest temperature-wise, but the wind chill has been, it's been pretty windy too. Like the wind chill's been in the low 30s, high 20s the entire time, so definitely not golf weather by any means. We do have some cars pitting. Kurt Busch, Mark Martin in for Roush Fenway Racing right now at this point in the race. Lap 59. Biffle's just going to stay out as long as he can. He knows he's got the car to cycle back up here, so not worried about exactly where he cycles right now. Lap 60. Carl Edwards is into the pits as well. Ken's still out on the track. Ryan Newman just pit that last time by. Deep dive into turn one by Biffle. Gordon with a much wider arc into the corners. He kind of ran about in the middle groove all the way through. Ton of cars on pit road right now. And the first pit stops of the race are here. Did not take that long. So there is an access road to get to and off of pit road. I don't think I'm going to use it, at least during this first stop. Because I didn't practice or qualify, I'm not sure exactly what would be the quickest way. So I'll probably try it once each if we get more than just this green flag pit stop coming up, and then we'll kind of go from there. Yeah, this first stop, I'm not too worried about it. Ken's pitted recently. Jeff Gordon still on the racetrack. Staying out with Biffle. Of course, Gordon being the points leader, he's probably going to try to stay out longer than Biffle so he can try to get a lap lead in. Means he can't pass him on the racetrack, as he can keep up with him, he just can't get around. Kind of similar to what Biffle couldn't do with Gordon at IRP. Roles were reversed in that race, and Biffle couldn't really pass the 24, but he can keep up with him. And same thing here, only this time it's Biffle in the lead and Gordon in second. Now Gordon will pit in hopes that he can cycle out ahead of Greg Biffle by pitting early, but he also pitted after the 12 and the 17, who are right there with those four, and I don't know that he's going to cycle out in front of them. Greg Biffle looking to put John Andretti another lap down. And he will. And I believe Biffle will lap the entire field and will be the only car that has to hit pit road yet once he gets past the pit lane this time, and that is the case. So Greg Biffle is the last car that has to make his first stop of the day. Everybody else was pacing to go further than him on fuel, close to that 75 to 80 plus lap range. They decided to pit a bit earlier, trying to gain some time on the 16. I can't necessarily blame him for that. Greg Biffle will pit at lap 67. Will be the plan. He'll stay out. One more lap. So Biffle will pit this time by. All 4 tires down on the apron this time, and Biffle will pit off turn 4. Locking those tires up just a little bit, making sure he gets down into the sharp entrance to pit lane, and he is there. 4 tires of fuel, no adjustments for Greg Biffle, first pit stop of the race. Lap 67. Patrick Shadley, thanks for tuning in. Get to listen to Keegan R. Break. Well, appreciate you tuning in, man. As usual. Pretty clean stop. It looked like 16.3 seconds. No mistakes. And the first green flag stop is in the books for Greg Biffle. And there go the leaders. Matt Kenseth is going to be out in front for the first time in the race. Biffle was the last to pit, so kind of figured he wasn't going to cycle out in front of those guys, and that is not the case. So as he gets up to speed right now, Matt Kenseth will lead his first lap, scoring himself 5 bonus points. Ryan Newman in second, Jeff Gordon in third, Greg Biffle fourth. Not sure who's back at fifth. All 3 of those guys kind of came out with one another from the pits again. Biffle playing a little catch-up as he was about a second and a half off the race lead at the start-finish line that last time by. Couple lap fresher tires, but that's not going to make much of a difference. Relatively equal tires, all things considered, for everybody, as they all pitted within pretty much about a 6 to 7 lap window of each other. Alternate through the different camera angles for the first time in the race today at lap 70. Biffle seems to be closing in pretty quick, too. Ryan Newman pulling out of line, trying to get back to the lead. 4 different leaders, 3 Roush Fenway Fords, Kenseth, Biffle, and Kurt Busch. Newman has led the most laps so far, and he's back in the lead for the second different time today off turn 4, and Gordon follows him to second. Kenseth back in line in third, right behind the 2. And Biffle now within 0.6 of a second, and he's a couple tenths a second a lap quicker as he's trying to catch up. He's going to get there in no time at this rate. All 4 tires down on the apron into turns 3 and 4 as he drives underneath the 17 of Kenseth. Door to door through the tri-oval for third. Biffle clear into turn 1. little tight in the middle of the corner as he's right underneath the 24 car of Jeff Gordon. Gordon still has not led a lap yet. He's trying to get by Newman because he is the points leader. Biffle does not want Gordon to try to lead a lap. Gordon going low, though, underneath Newman. Biffle going even lower. 3 wide for the lead now off turn 4. 3 wide as they get to the start-finish line. I don't know who led that lap, but it wasn't Biffle. Biffle was scored in second, still 3 wide down into turn 1. And Greg Biffle, who has the preferred lane down low, is going to be clear of everybody off turn 2 as they merge down the back straightaway. Biffle back out in front. I think Jeff Gordon might have led that lap at the line. It was either Newman or Gordon. I think it might have been Gordon. Considering where they were in the middle of 1 and 2 out of the rearview mirror of Greg Biffle, but Biffle out in front now and looking to pull away, but tried to get to the lead as quickly as he could there when he saw Gordon go to the bottom. He went all the way to the apron to take it 3 wide. It was a heck of a move by Biffle. But I believe it's going to be all for naught in the sense that Gordon will still get 5 bonus points. Now Biffle, knowing that Ryan Newman has definitely led the most laps today, he's led nearly 40 laps in this one. Biffle has maybe led 20 at the most. Wants to try to get the most laps led. Another reason to get to the lead as quickly as he could. If Greg Biffle could go on to lead 87 laps today, he will eclipse the 1,500 lap lead mark on the season through the first 19 races. Has an average finish of a 13.7 to this point in the season as well. And that's even with 4 finishes outside the top 15 in the last 5 races. And now Biffle's 3 wide down to the apron trying to get by some lap cars. He's lucky he's got much fresher tires because he is so close to the grass in the middle of the corner when trying to get around these guys. Not wasting any time at all, though. Really looking to pull away. Drives it in deep into turns 1 and 2. Trying to make sure he's going to clear those guys above him, and he is all clear. Scott Wimmer, and then one of the fantasy drivers in the 191. Gordon gets by Wimmer into 3 and 4. Newman and Kenseth losing the 24 and the 16. It seems to be just another battle between Greg Biffle and Jeff Gordon again tonight. Gordon, points leader, the hottest driver in the Cup Series right now, and the guy who had that reign up until his current slow spell of races. Greg Biffle's the one leading him. The points leader and the guy who's won the most races so far this year, running 1 and 2. We'll try to get this subway forward to victory lane. Making up 3 stops, the last stop at 2:01. So we literally have to go 67 laps every run in this race to be able to make it. That is definitely a fuel mileage race, the way things are looking. All it takes is one caution to really change that too. I don't know what the strategy call would be if we do get a caution in this one, when to pit. Maybe to stay out. Biffle hasn't had great pit strategy recently. I mean, he did at IRP because he was able to finish second off of it. 31.390, that last lap for Biffle, his fastest of the race. All over the back of John Andretti. Middle of the corner, gets all 4 tires down below that white line, and now he's alongside Andretti on the backstretch. They should be able to clear him in turns 3 and 4. A 1-second race lead for Greg Biffle at the front of the field. Matthew Jordan Bruno, thanks for tuning in. Greg Biffle's absolutely obliterating the field right now. I mean, I know it's only a 1.2 second lead, but the pace he's running during the second fuel entire stint of the race much quicker than his first. I think a lot of the reason is because of how much he was probably wearing his tires out for not qualifying or practicing, so he started in dead last to work his way up through the field at just 34 laps, and he wasn't really able to pull away beyond that point. Right now, he is doing a sensational job in pulling away, as he has been a couple tenths of a second a lap quicker when there isn't any lap cars around him. Taylor Klaus, thanks for tuning in. We'll go back to the far chase game at the start-finish line this time by nope, no caution so far, caution free. Through 85 laps, everybody has pitted once under green flag conditions. Still surprisingly isn't that many cars a lap down at this point in the race though either. Jimmy Spencer, Jeff Burton, Scott Riggs are the three lap cars right around Greg Biffle in the tri-oval. Biffle on the inside of the 50 is Spencer heading into turn 1. Jeff Burton on that outside lane. Biffle should be able to get underneath him as well. He's got a good run in the back straightaway. Scott Riggs really trying to protect the bottom. Biffle going all the way down to the apron to get underneath the 10. There is definitely grip down there for the 16 car, and he's taking advantage more often than not. He's trying to side draft Riggs a little bit in the tri-oval. Slow up that 10 car a little bit, make it an easier pass into turn 1. And he did so perfectly. Wasn't too aggressive with the side draft. He could have gotten much closer to him, but he's got a fast car. Doesn't want to risk it too much at this point. 2.6 second lead. Riggs now in the free pass position if he were to get a quick yellow. I can't tell who this is at the tail of the field right in front of these guys. If it's Martin Truex Jr., boy, he has fallen well off of where he was at the start of the race. If it is, it might be Terry Labonte. It's somebody with a red back bumper. I'm assuming you meant to say stream and not streak. If you mean streak, I have no clue what you're talking about. Sorry for that. But thanks for sharing. Assuming you're talking about the stream. Unless you're like eating dinner right now and you share a steak with them. I don't know. Fell asleep last night during the football game. Keegan wants to know where he's at. No, I have to work tomorrow. I'd prefer it not to snow. And it was Terry Labonte in the 44 who Greg Biffle had gotten around. Guess we'll just alternate through the different camera angles one more time in the race today while we're racing as Greg Biffle right now. Three-second lead. And potentially growing still. When do I have to pit again? Pit at lap 67 the first time, so if we were to go 67 more laps from there, it'd be lap 134. 133, 134. Probably lean towards lap 134. So we still have about another 35 more laps from now. $21 likes on the stream so far. Appreciate you guys hitting that like button. Be sure to subscribe as well if you haven't already for more daily NASCAR content. And also check out the reaction video I uploaded earlier today. We'll be doing those every Monday on the channel. And then every Thursday night we'll be streaming an old NASCAR race during the off-season, starting with the Daytona 500s leading up to the start of next season. And then once next season continues, we'll probably just do a classic race from the track they're going to that said weekend as well. So be fun. Throwback Thursday live stream, and this week it's looking like we will be streaming the 1998 Daytona 500. We streamed the 2006 Daytona 500 last week on the channel with the little watch along, so we'll do that again this week. I believe CBS covered the Daytona 500s there in the late 90s, so a little different seeing a CBS covered NASCAR race. It was a little bit before my time, so, well, at least that race specifically was, so be interesting to see what the production's like. Granted, I know it's from like 25 years ago, but so the quality might not be quite what it is today, but on track it should be pretty good. That's another one of those races where outside the finish I don't really know a whole lot of what happened during the race. I wasn't born until 99, so I didn't get to watch that race live like I did with 2006, but I just never rewatched 2006. This one I never really rewatched before, just seen the final laps of the race many, many times over, but it'll be a fun one. Ethan, thanks for tuning in. Derek Booth, also welcome into the stream. Everyone knows who won the night. Well, there might be some newer NASCAR fans that don't, that aren't historians of the sport, so we can't spoil it. Did see Jimmy Johnson win the 06 500 last week. I actually didn't realize that there wasn't a big one in that race until we got to the end. There were a few crashes like here and there sporadically throughout, but It wasn't really a big one the entire race. I think the biggest wreck was like 5 cars, middle of the race. Who was in it? Carl Edwards, Kyle Petty, Jeff Green spun. That's what started it. He got spun by Dale Jarrett, essentially, is what started it. Favorite sport besides NASCAR and football? I'd probably say hockey, honestly. Especially the last handful of years. I like watching a lot of Pistons basketball when they were actually, you know, borderline playoffs or in the playoffs a handful of years ago. I actually went to a playoff game between the Bucks and the Pistons. It was a first round game. Detroit got swept. That was the last time they were in the playoffs. But like I went to probably 3 or 4 games that year. Mainly because at the time that was like the only competitive team in Detroit too. It was worth going to see. Mike Joy, Buddy Baker, Ned Jarrett. Yep, those were the guys in the booth then. Ned Jarrett was pretty good in the booth. Obviously, we know Mike Joy's one of the greatest of all time. Play-by-play wise. Watch the 98 500 on DVD. No longer have the DVD player. That's a bummer. Yeah, I didn't get to stay up and watch the Red Wings game the other night. Well, I mean, I could have if I wanted to, but I was a little too tired by that time. We're on a West Coast trip right now, so other games are starting at 10:30 my time. Just lost to the Kings 4-3 the other night. We'll go back to this far chase cam down for the rest of the race. Just over a 4-second lead for Biffle. Went all the way down to the apron. Try to get around Casey Kane and Kyle Petty. Couldn't quite stay underneath Kane as he got a little bit better corner exit speed off turn 4. That wider arc. Kane kind of crowding Greg Biffle just a little bit now. Biffle slides in line between the 45 and the 9 and ducks back down to the inside to try to get by Casey Kane again. Kane desperately trying not to go a lap down here. Through the tri-oval. Biffle up the track a little bit, lifts in the center of the corner, try to keep it off of Kane. And he is maybe not quite clear yet. He's going to go down, try to block Petty into turn 3. Protecting the inside. Washington Caps are your favorite team? At least you got to enjoy a title run there a couple years ago. And of course you got literally one of the greatest of all time on your team playing right now. I'd say he's on the Mount Rushmore of the NHL. Especially if he gets past Wayne Gretzky's career goal number, he's definitely got to be up there, if he wasn't already. If I had to say Mount Rushmore for hockey, I'd probably go Wayne Gretzky, obviously, is on there. Gordie Howe. Probably Mario Lemieux and then Ovechkin. If you don't put Ovechkin on there, I'm trying to think who else would go on there. Maybe you put a goalie on there? Like a Martin Brodeur or Patrick Waugh. Even though I was a Red Wings fan, I didn't really care for Patrick Waugh too much, but I didn't really watch hockey at that time, but just knowing about the rivalry with the Avalanche. You got to give credit where credit's due, though. He's one of the greatest goalies of all time. Brodeur probably better in the postseason, though, so. A lot more records than Wall does, too. Brett Hall. I don't know about Mount Rushmore to put Brett Hall up there. He's close. I think you got to put Ovechkin on there, though. And you look at his career numbers, especially in goals. I mean, he's so close to getting by Gordie Howe for second all-time in goals. Jaromir Jagr could be on there potentially as well. The only reason he has the statistics he has, though, is because he's played for so long. I mean, he's retired now, but he played for so long. And I guess you could kind of say the same for Gordie Howe. But Howe was kind of the, you know, he's basically a pioneer at this point when it comes to that. Mount Rushmore for NFL. Well, Tom Brady's definitely on there. See, it's hard to do that, though, for the NFL, just because you have offense and defense. And then the quarterback position's, like, so much more valuable than everybody else. So I feel like if I were to go, like, different position, Mount Rushmore for football, I'd probably go, definitely Tom Brady has to be on there. Jerry Rice has to be on there. Probably got to put what running back am I going to put on there? I feel like you have to put Walter Payton, probably. I mean, you would have to imagine he's got to be on there. Either him or Jim Brown for running back. I'd probably go Walter Payton. If Barry Sanders played long enough, I'd put him on there, but I don't think he's got longevity enough in his career to actually be on there, so I'd probably go Payton. Gosh, I don't know for a fourth. You got to put a defensive player on there, I guess. Man, who do I put on there for defense? It's got to be somebody who's played, who did or has played a long time. I don't think it's anybody current. I mean, Sean Taylor played for a long time. I don't know a lot of, like, defensive stat leaders, though, career-wise. Like, Michael Strahan was a beast, but I don't think he played that long. Yager's still playing. Oh, jeez, I missed. Almost cracked the wall off turn 2. It shocked me. Well, he's not playing in the NHL, though. Not that I know of. Or is it one of those situations where he hasn't, like, actually announced his retirement? I did watch the Lions game. Watched a lot of football yesterday. I watched more football yesterday than I have all year now that NASCAR's done. Our weekend's pretty good. Quiet, but no news is better than bad news. That car's hitting pit road for the second time tonight. Saw Jeff Green pit moments ago. Carl Edwards is now in Russia. Yeah, I was going to say. He's not in the NHL, though, so that doesn't count towards, like, career goals, I don't think. In the NHL specifically, obviously, it doesn't. It's still insane he's still playing, though. I don't think Kurt Warner played long enough, though. What did he play, from 99 to, like, the early 2010s? He only played, like, 13, 14 years. He was great, don't get me wrong. But I don't think he's got the longevity. Like, if I were to put another quarterback on there, it'd have to be probably Peyton Manning or Drew Brees, but that's just me personally. Potentially Aaron Rodgers. I mean, those are probably the top 4. Ray Lewis, yeah, you're right. Ray Lewis probably would be that guy to be on there. You're probably right. If I had to put a defenseman on there. I think of the Aiden Hutchinson sack yesterday. I mean, it's a good defensive play. It wasn't anything like, oh my god, that was... It's kind of hard to have that on defense, though. Just because there's tackles on every single play. Unless you score. Yeah, 5.5. Pretty good rookie campaign so far. Could be Defensive Rookie of the Year. NASCAR Mount Rushmore. Well, you have to have 4 on there. You have 5 names. You gotta narrow it down. I wouldn't put Logano on there. Did you do that just to trigger people? I mean, definitely the 3 7-time champs. Petty, Earnhardt. I mean, the Mount Rushmore NASCAR's got to be pretty easy in my book. It's got to be Earnhardt, Petty, Johnson, and Gordon. I don't think you can really win an argument with me to put somebody else on there. Okay, maybe David Pearson. If I had to give an exception, I would alternate potentially Gordon and Pearson. That'd be the only debatable one. But outside of that, it's pretty unanimous, I think. Those are definitely the 5 greats of all time. You could argue the order and amongst them 1 through 5 potentially, or 1 through 3. I think you can argue 1 through 3, and then there's an argument for that final Mount Rushmore spot between Gordon and Pearson. Gordon's car, Biffle's car rather, starting to get pretty loose this point in the run. Probably burnt the rear tires off a little more than what he did on the opening run of the race. He's going to try to use the excess road when he comes into the pits this time. Yeah, your Mount Rushmore is the same as mine. Cue the duck. We're not quite there yet. I do have a trivia question for tonight, but got about 7 more laps. I don't think that Greg Biffle is going to be able to make it 67 laps into the run to lap 134, as that fuel tank is already in the dark red on the indicator right now. Not everybody on the lead lap has hit pit road yet, other than Biffle either. Biffle will definitely go a couple more laps, but he is not going to be able to make it to lap 134, so it's looking like a 4-stop race tonight for Greg Biffle in that 16 car. Going to push to lap 129, and then he'll pit. Now he's the final car in the lead lap. So now Biffle's the final car to hit pit road. He'll stay out this time and then pit the following time by. Right rear tire in the yellow on the tire wear indicator. So the first run he was burning up the right front more than the right rear. This run it's more of the right rear than the right front. 24 likes on the stream. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We're about to get into the second green flag stop of the race as we are still caution-free, almost halfway home in the Las Vegas 400. And our first race of the second half of the season. In our season-long points format, too. And crowning a champion. Casey Mears getting up to speed on the bottom of the track. Biffle going to try to use the excess road into the pits this time. Almost looped the car around. Got to be careful there. Clip the grass. Trying to get the car into the pits. And he is there. So 4 tires and fuel for Greg Biffle. No adjustments. It was a little sketchy. Kind of took the access road a little too hot there. That would have been terrible if I spun out. Definitely a lengthy pit entry. Maybe you'll be a little better using the access road on the way out. Pit out rather than pit in. First guess holds up, yeah, for four stops. It's probably what it's looking like. Right, we held on to it. Ryan Newman going to cycle back into the lead as he pitted well before Greg Biffle did. The access road leaving the pits not that bad. Entering the pits, on the other hand, it's a little rough. Kevin Harvick going to cycle out in front of Greg Biffle. Biffle back to 4th. And 3.5 seconds behind Ryan Newman, who was one of the first to come into the pit. So Ryan Newman back in the lead for the 3rd different time tonight at Las Vegas. Lap 134. Biffle looking to the inside of Kevin Harvick. Biffle had about a 4.6 second lead at one point in this race, trying to play a little catch-up. Harvick really squeezing Biffle down into 1 and 2. He is not giving him any room. Biffle having to run the apron all the way through the corner just to stay off the 29. And he's going to be clear off turn 4, it looks like, for 3rd. No, not clear yet. Still side by side. 31.259 that last lap for Biffle, and that was his fastest lap of the day by far, as he gets by Harvick for 3rd now. The access road costed him a little bit of time. I don't think it cost him quite 3.5 seconds, though. A lot of that time he lost was mainly just because... And if anything, he would have gained it on the way out of the pits when guys haven't been using it rather than on the way in. Wonder if Jeff Gordon's in 2nd or Matt Kenseth. If it's not Kenseth, Kenseth's fallen way back. I'm not sure where he's at position-wise. I don't think all 7 seconds were cost by the access road, because we were in the lead when we pitted during the first stop, and we came out about 1.5 seconds behind, too, so just pitting much later than everybody else. Staying out, trying to get the most laps led possible. We didn't know if Jeff Gordon was in 2nd at the time. I think he has led 1 lap, but not entirely sure. That's crazy, just that 1 lap though, and he gets 5 extra points. Don't need that when we're trying to chase the guy for the championship. I definitely think it cost me a couple seconds. I don't think it cost me 7. At least in pit in. Pit out, there's a lot more grip. I think it was, honestly, I think pit in, the access road was fine. It was just I took it too hot. Try to do a little better next time. I'll probably just use it pit out next time rather than pit in. It's pit out, it worked. .1 seconds off the lead. Ryan Newman dealing with quite a bit of lap traffic right now, as well as whoever the 2nd place driver is. Just past the halfway point tonight. Time for tonight's trivia question. Tonight's question is this: who is the only driver in NASCAR Cup Series history to win from the pole at Las Vegas? That is the question. Simple. Only one driver has ever won from the pole in history at Las Vegas in the NASCAR Cup Series, and who is that driver? And that's actually surprising when you consider the fact of how important it is just to qualify towards the front in any race. The fact that only one driver has ever won from the pole. First race was in 1998, back at Las Vegas for the Cup Series. So about 25 years of racing there, and one driver. Mark DeMars, you're correct on the answer. Kyle Busch. Yeah, a lot of people say, a lot of people knew that answer. Kyle Busch, 2008 is the answer. Kyle Petty. That didn't take long at all. It's probably easy to give Kyle Busch as the answer to that question, but I thought it was interesting that only one driver's ever done it. Well, he qualified on the pole. He might have started at the back, but he qualified on the pole and won. Nobody's ever qualified first, finished first at Las Vegas, except for Kyle Busch. In the Cup Series. Quite a few in the truck and the Xfinity. 09, not 08. I saw a couple people say 08, so I just kind of rolled with it. I was like, alright, maybe I'm wrong. I believe you in it being 09. Because it was the longest race. It was that race that was a little bit longer than 400 miles. I know that was in 2009. Like 428 or something. Jeff Gordon blocking for second on the back straightaway. Greg Biffle squeezes underneath Gordon. And Gordon trying to squeeze Biffle. Biffle going up the track, trying to keep the 24 in line behind the 11. So they side draft each other through the tri-oval into turns 1 and 2. Gordon going to go up the middle now, 3 wide potentially. And Gordon clear. Leffler almost gets into the side of the 24 as Gordon really squeezed the 11 up the racetrack, and Biffle's up to second. 1 second off the lead from Ryan Newman. Bit of a hard-fought battle there between the 24 and the 16. 427 to 428, whatever. 420-something miles. I don't know why they did that. Shelby 427. Who else wants a caution? We haven't had a caution-free race all season. I think it'd be kind of cool to go caution-free. Just to get one this year. This is probably the closest we've gone all year. We're over halfway home. Only 2 more pit stops out from the finish. That the race is calmed by my standings, and because I haven't been as good in the last couple races, position in the finishing order. Best chance is to not have this thing get crazy on a restart. Feel more confident with everything spaced out. We've barely made contact with any other car in the field today, and we haven't hit the wall at all through 145 laps either. Precision at its finest from the 16 team of Greg Biffle. Within a half a second of Ryan Newman. Newman and Biffle have led the two that have led the most laps by far in this race today. Kenseth led for a few laps. Gordon led for 1. And then Kurt Busch led the first lap of the race. It's pretty much been all Greg Biffle and Ryan Newman, and mostly Biffle. I'd say the 16 has led the most of the 16 and the 12. The 12 has probably led close to 50 laps in this one. Still trying to fight to get the most laps led. Biffle trying to force Newman into a mistake. Not going to happen there. Biffle all the way down to the apron through the tri-oval now. 31.286. That was a great run off turn 4. And taking that shortcut and a deep dive into turn 1 as well. Newman a little bit off that white line. Going to crowd Biffle at the last second there off turn 2. And hold on to the race lead on the backstretch. Biffle out of line again, down to the bottom. Newman to try and squeeze the 16. Biffle as close to the grass without touching it as possible. Can't clear Newman off turn 4, and they're still door to door. Biffle will lead that line barely. Lead that lap at the line barely into the corner, and now a little slide job and a little contact. And Biffle got way out of the gas to keep from wrecking those guys. He took the big dive into the corner, and he couldn't quite clear Ryan Newman. Newman did a great job. I mean, that car barely moved. Biffle slid up into him. Biffle trying to get that ground back. Battle too much. Jeff Gordon might be back in the mix again. Biffle diving deep into the turns 1 and 2. Gets to the inside of Ryan Newman. And they're side by side on the back straightaway for the lead. And now Biffle will be clear off turn 4. All clear, now trying to block the 12 in the middle of the tri-oval. Looking to run away again. One more field pass yet to get through in tonight's race. And we'll do that once we get to the start-finish line this time by. One car out of the race, yeah. I'm not sure who that is. I didn't actually see anybody blow an engine, but there has been somebody on pit road for a while. We'll go back to Matt Kenseth in the 17 car. As he is back in the 10th place position, he's lost a lot of time. Considering he was leading after the first set of green flag pit stops, he cycled out in front of everybody else, but he's fallen back quite a bit. We'll see over these next 4 laps if we can try to get some positions gained for Kenseth. Former Vegas winner. I see Carl Edwards up here as well. Dale Jarrett in the top 10. I'm surprised at how well both the Robert Yates cars have been able to keep their speed this far into the season. A lot of it might have been luck early in the year that they were running as good as they were. Neither one of those two made the chase in our first season, so it's kind of strange in our second season that they both won a race and they're both in the top 10 in points still. Including Sadler being up at P2 in the standings. Edwards going 3 wide underneath Kurt Busch. Jeff Green off turn 2. As Kenseth gets by Tony Stewart for 9th. Edwards to the inside of Busch. More laps with Kenseth here. Jarrett to the inside of Busch. Kenseth looking to get by the 97, who's getting freight trained all of a sudden. Kenseth on the inside of Dale Jarrett off turn 2. Kurt trying to side draft the 17 down on the bottom. 4 cars under a blanket right now, all battling inside the top 10. And what a battle it is. Car got a little loose down on the apron. Kenseth slides clear into 6th place off of turn 2. Kenseth 6.4 seconds off the lead. And we'll go back to Carl Edwards in the 99, who's not that far behind these guys. Just saw him in the picture. As he looks underneath Dale Jarrett into turns 1 and 2 for 7th. Edwards gets by the 88. Trying to get it around the 17 for 6th. Widens that arc out quite a bit into turns 1 and 2. Way down low. And I believe he is going to be clear into turn 3 for 6th. Yep, Kenseth slides back down to the bottom right in front of Dale Jarrett. I think Elliott Sadler is in 5th place up ahead. Next car up in front of Carl Edwards. Not going to get to him in the next couple laps before we transfer back to the 97 of Kurt Busch. Well, thanks for tuning in. Perhaps Biffle won't get screwed out of this race. I hope not. We've had some terrible luck here recent races. We had to make our own luck at IRP. If we didn't pit on that final caution of that race, I don't know that I would have finished in the top 10 with the pace. I was kind of falling off there late. Took the fresh tires and got back up to 2nd there at the end. Those last 70 laps. I was lucky that we had that many laps left on the restart for me to actually get up to where I did too. About to eat dinner. Are you going to eat steak? I know you were talking about it earlier. That's why I wondered. And to Kurt Busch, who has just gotten by Dale Jarrett now on lap 162 for 8th. I know you weren't actually talking about steak. I just felt like I'd say that. I was waiting to get a comment back about, oh no, I didn't mean steak. Yelling at me in the chat. Threatening to unsubscribe or something. I'm actually allergic to steak. How would you say that? How could you do such a terrible thing? Slides back in front of Matt Kenseth now. Kurt in his home track, trying to get a good finish. The only Roush Fenway car not in the top 10 is Mark Martin. 4 of the 5 are up here, but only 1 of the 5 are in the top 5, and that's Biffle in the lead, where he's been most of the night. Keegan doing for things? We're going over to my aunt's house. We haven't really seen too much since COVID, to be completely honest. I'd imagine most of my mom's side of the family is going to be there. It'll be pretty cool getting to see all those guys again. Busch all over the back of the 99 now of Carl Edwards. Looking low into turn 1 for 6th, and he's going to get the spot. 5.8 seconds behind race leader Greg Biffle right now. Down to just 102 laps to go at Las Vegas. Still caution free tonight. This 400-mile race. We'll go to Mark Martin at the start-finish line next time by, once we hit 100 laps to go. So we know Elliott Sadler's on the lead lap. It's Casey Kane in the 9 kind of holding him up, and well, never mind. Mark Martin's coming into the pits. I don't know if that's a scheduled stop or not. So we'll stay with Kurt Busch, I guess, a little bit longer. But Mark Martin's got an issue right now, it looks like. And I think he's blown an engine and is running down the back straightaway. Kurt Busch to the inside of Elliott Sadler has passed him for 5th place off turn 2. Right as we were about to swap to Mark Martin, he blew an engine. And he'll be the second driver out of the race today. Busch, Elliott Sadler whizzing by him just to the outside. That's unfortunate. 31.190 with Kurt Busch. That's insane. I did not see that. That's wicked fast. And Kevin Harvick just up ahead. Would be for position for Kurt Busch as well. Kurt really starting to get going right now. He's getting through the lap traffic pretty well. And really low to get by Sterling Marlin off turn 4. We'll see if Kurt can catch Kevin Harvick. Harvick is a rival. So I'll get Kurt Busch close, and then I'll leave Kurt to try to pass Harvick on his own. I would like this to stay caution-free at all costs. See if we can get Edwards by the 38 of Sadler here quickly for 6th. I'll just go back to Greg Biffle for the rest of the race when we get back to the start-finish line. Edwards dealing with the lap car of Scott Wimmer, who's running very low on the backstretch right now, really pinching the 99 off. Low dive into the corner for Edwards underneath Elliott Sadler. Side by side for 6th place. And Edwards is clear by the time they get to the start-finish line. So to Greg Biffle for the rest of the race now as he continues to lead. And he's down on the apron of the track. A little slow there. Lost some momentum off turn 2. Gave a chance for Ryan Newman to try to close back in slightly. Biffle will hold on to the race lead. Lap 174 at the line. Greg Biffle out in front. Again, Mark Martin out of the race after just blowing an engine moments ago. The other 5, or 4 of the 5, I guess, Roush Fenway Fords are in the top 10. $9.278, what? Not here in Las Vegas. Not on the 1.5 SMI circuit. R6, welcome into the stream. Just cleared Kenny Wallace off turn 2. And likely a 2-stop race yet to the finish. Considering Ryan Newman has cycled out of the pits ahead of Greg Biffle, I think that Greg Biffle is going to end up going 4 tires on the next stop, and then the final stop just going to go fuel only to make sure he's going to cycle out in front of the field. Unless that final stop would have to be under caution, then he'll take 4, but just to make sure he cycles out ahead, because Ryan Newman is much closer to him now than what he was during the last run. Should stream the Super Bowl? Nah. I try to keep this as auto racing but more NASCAR centered as possible. "90 laps to go this time by Las Vegas." There's a way to get down to 67 laps to go before the next pit stop, then Greg Biffle could make it on one more. I doubt he's going to be able to go that far, but we'll have to just wait and see. Carl Edwards now coming into the pits. There's a few other cars on pit road, though, too. So I'm thinking we're seeing some scheduled pit stops and some drivers short pitting for our 3rd pit stop of the race, unless Edwards just blew an engine also. If that's the case, that's 2 Roush cars that have blown an engine in the last dozen laps, and that could be a little concerning. But I don't think that is the case. We got another car pitting off turn 4. I think it's just the start of green flag pit stops for the 3rd time tonight. Biffle's going to stay out, try to get as many laps led as possible. It'll be a 4-tire stop, and if it stays green to the end of the race, when he does make that next pit stop, it's going to be the last time he changes tires. And then just go splash and go on the next one. And Edwards is out of the pits. I'm glad I'm here to help you cope with that, Matthew. Hopefully everything's alright. What was that Mark Martin when he blew up through his helmet at pit reporters talking to him? That doesn't sound like Mark Martin. Sure you're not talking about Kyle Busch? Just squeezing under Scott Wimmer, or Scott Riggs, the other Scott. I had the wrong Scott. Scott Riggs in the 10. Not giving Biff a lot of room. That Kenseth in the pits now as well. Quarter tank of gas left for Biffle yet at this point in the run. Lap 183 now, as he's still rated at 31.397, so even at this point in the run, he's looking pretty quick. I'm honestly surprised, considering we haven't had a caution, that we don't have more cars a lap down under normal conditions when we do cycle all the way through the pit stops. I feel like I've only lapped like half the field. I mean, maybe I've lapped more cars than that, but I feel like we haven't even gotten inside the top 20, and we've had 184 green flag laps. Matthew Smith, thanks for tuning in. Well, you enter turns 3 of 4 makes you think you're coming down to pit road, lol. I'm just running an aggressive line, that's all. I mean, my car sticks down there, so why not? I'm actually surprised at how far into the run it still sticks. I noticed the last run, about the last 10 to 12 laps, it was starting to get really loose going down there, so I wasn't going down there anymore. The first run and then this third run of the race, I haven't had issues with it. I'm still going down there. No out of bounds. I'm taking all the advantages I can get. Using all the asphalt I need. Running it like it's like Kurt Phoenix layout or something. It is aggressive, yeah. It sticks, though. Get as close to that grass as possible. I'll tell you what, I clipped the grass, so I'm probably spinning out, so I don't want to... I haven't hit it yet. I've been precise. I haven't hit the wall yet either, so... It's been a very, very clean race so far. Have to watch some cars coming out of the pits up ahead. Greg Biffle going 3 wide off turn 2. Terry Labonte, Shane Meal to his outside. Labonte may want to pit here. Oh, man, he is coming in. He turned down. I thought he was going to clip the right rear corner panel. Greg Biffle, luckily Biffle had him cleared when Labonte trying to make his way into the pits. He was in the middle of that 3 wide. Not much of a mess. It could have been a mess, though. It turns 3 and 4. Carving the turns like Thanksgiving turkey. Way to... That's a good analogy this time of the year. Greg Biffle has just clinched the most laps led now with a little over 70 laps to go. So it'll be a 10 bonus point performance despite not qualifying and starting last in this race. 6th time in which he has started last in a race this season due to not qualifying. Oh, he's only won 1 of them. And that was at Michigan. Or sorry, no, I qualified pole at Michigan. What race was that I won? Now I gotta think. I forgot I qualified pole at Michigan. Is it Pocono? No, I didn't win Pocono. Edwards won Pocono. Speedway Boulevard. There we go. Never mind. It's a road course. Fantasy road course. Speedway Boulevard. A turkey suit. Like one of those inflatable ones. What am I having for dinner? I'm actually, I don't know, I'll probably just pick up like a frozen food or something from Dollar General. I have to go there immediately after the stream so I can pick up some... I'm out of protein bars for when I work out tomorrow, so... Unless I work out after I get off of work before I stream, I'm not doing that. Then I'm crunching for time and feel like I'm rushing everything, so I'm going to usually do it in the morning. But they close at 9 my time, and it's 7:45 right now, so... I'll have to go like right as soon as this race is over. My least favorite NASCAR track? I mean, on TV, I'd probably say Pocono, but being there in person was really nice. It really, I mean, anytime you're at a track in person, it enhances the experience. I don't know what the answer to that would be. I'd probably say when watching on TV, if it's not that, and Pocono can still put, I'm a believer that every track can put on a good race on any given Sunday, but I mean, Texas, honestly. Texas is probably #1 at its current state. Yeah, not Pocono. I think Pocono's better than Texas. I wasn't thinking there for a second. I don't know how I forgot about that. Yeah, current Texas would be my least favorite. I mean, even in general, I like Michigan. Just because it is so close to home. Greg Biffle will pit this time by lap 196. As we have 72 laps to go at this point in the race. He's going to be about 5+ laps short to make it to the end on fuel. So everybody looking to make a 4-stop race in this one. And with Biffle on his way in, he's going to use this access road. It's coming in hot. That's still a lot better than before. Oh, okay. Yeah, it was better than before. It was a little sketchy both times. I came in hot again, but that time I held on to it, and I didn't have to lift quite as much. 4 tires and fuel for Greg Biffle. No adjustments, and it will be the final 4-tire stop of the race if we continue to stay caution-free. Non-ISC or SMI tracks offer an amazing track experience. Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, all tracks pretty much do, but yeah, Pocono had a lot to offer for sure. A lot of the road courses do too. Ryan Newman going to cycle back into the lead. He's not going to be as far off the lead this time as what he was last time. He's about 2.3 seconds back. Access roads are weird. No matter how slow the car goes, you want to spin out. Yeah. I think the reason why I wanted to spin out that time is because I was going so fast when I transitioned from the banking to the flat. And it got... it's like the car jumped on me. It wasn't like it got loose. It just felt like I went over like a ramp. The car kind of bottomed out. First time, yeah, there was not a lot of grip the first time, and I thought I took it slow. That's why I tried to go a little hotter that time. So 68 laps to go, 69 laps to go. 2.2 second lead for Ryan Newman over Greg Biffle. Jeff Gordon, I believe, is in second place once again. We'll see if Greg Biffle can run down Newman. We know Biffle's already clinched the most laps led today. He's had a fast enough car to run down Ryan Newman every other run of the race. I don't see why this will be any different. And that pit window is going to open to the end of the race very soon as well. But to make sure Newman's not going to beat him out of the pits for when he pits before Biffle in this final run, Biffle's going to go fuel only. We'll splash and go to make it to the finish. Means he's only a handful of laps short. How do I like New Atlanta? It's better than what I thought it would be. I still think that over time it's not going to race like a super speedway as the track starts to get into its like aging process. Even if it's like 8 to 10 years down the line. Because it's so narrow still. At that point, it's... I mean, if it gets too bumpy, they're going to have so much off-throttle time. It's not going to race like a super speedway. So I don't know if like they're going to end up using a super speedway package down the line. But as far as like right now, I'm surprised at how well it actually worked. But it is too narrow to the point where they can't go 3 wide. And anytime they really tried to go 3 wide in any series there, they wrecked. So it's very much a hybrid of a 1.5 miles. I mean, I'm quite honest though, if they would have kept the normal length between the width of the track between the wall and the apron, instead of changing and narrowing it up, I think they could have had better super speedway racing. And maybe they narrowed it up because they didn't think anybody was going to use the outside because it was going to be too long around that short of a track. when you're going full throttle. I mean, that could be a reason why they did it. But it definitely made it to where 3 lanes is just not possible to consistently run. Yeah, Jeff Gordon to the lead. Getting around Ryan Newman. He cycled a lot closer to him through those green flag pit stops, and now he has passed him in lap traffic. So Gordon is going to be the one to beat at Las Vegas as he's trying to keep his hot streak alive. And Greg Biffle now within 1.1 seconds of the race lead as well. When you noticed me, was it one of those things where, like, you noticed me, like, immediately, or were you, like, hesitant? Like, I don't know if that's him, and I'm going to go up. Because I've gotten that from people in the past where, like, they didn't know it was me, and then they just asked randomly. I'm like, yeah, that's me. And then they're like, oh, cool. Couple cars at pit road, so the pit window is open to make it to the end of the race. Definitely seen some drivers short pit. Carl Edwards is in. We know Mark Martin's out of the race, so that's why he's got the red X still. And we pushed it hard through 3 and 4. Washed up the track quite a bit off the exit of the corner. And Jeff Gordon trying to get by the 77, it looked like, of Travis Quaffle. Fastest lap of the race for Biffle, 31.185 that last lap as he went to the apron trying to get by Mears, and Mears with a big block into turn 1. Staying in front of the 16. That's going to get the 16 quite a bit tight. And almost washed up into the 191. He's not expecting the 41 to chop down like that in the middle of the corner. Newman gets by Quaffle, and he's trying to run Gordon back down again. Let me know down in the comment section if you think this race is going to stay caution-free tonight. So far it has. We'll have 60 laps to go at the start-finish line this time by. Lap car just pulled up right in front of Ryan Newman, and it was the 42 of Jamie McMurray. Biffle could go to the apron that time. Shane Neal coming out of the pit lane. Murray on fresher tires might be difficult for Biffle to get around. We'll see. Again, we have not had a caution-free Cup race all season. This is the 19th race of the year. 31.284 at the line that time for Biffle. As he gets by McMurray by going down to the apron through the tri-oval. Newman closing back in on Jeff Gordon for the lead again. And he's looking low off turn 2. He's got a great run on the backstretch. Widens his arc quite a bit. Gets tight in the middle of the corner, though, behind the 24, and that opens up the bottom for Biffle to get underneath Newman now off turn 4. Biffle all the way down to the apron again. Another 31-2. Side by side for second into turn 1. Biffle with a deep dive into the corner. Got it to stick very well. Slides clear of Newman off the exit of turn 2. Eyes set now on Jeff Gordon, the points leader. Billy says 2 cautions. Biffle underneath Gordon now off turn 4. Down to the apron again. Biffle led that lap at the line. He's going to dive deep into turns 1 and 2. He slides up the racetrack. He's well clear in the middle of the corner. Got it up into the wall for the first time, though. And that's going to give the run to Gordon into 3. But Biffle holds on. And Greg Biffle leading again at Las Vegas. 1 pit stop yet to the finish of the race for everybody in the field. Except for those who pitted as soon as that window opened up. We had Nearly half the field really has already made their final stop. Hoping it stays green at least long enough for everybody to cycle through so they don't get trapped a lap down if they were on the lead lap, or a second lap down if they were already a lap down. Greg Biffle back in the lead at Las Vegas. And with less than 50 laps to go, time is winding down, and it's really a 3-car race here for the win. Unless we get a caution. And bring a lot of different drivers back into it again. I don't know what the single file restarts are going to look like. And there's obviously quite a few cars a lap down, so the lap cars will actually be underneath the lead lap cars for a restart as long as we don't have less than 10 to go. But we do see a caution. Mark Marr says it's not going to be caution-free for long. I see 2 cautions. Michael Turner thinks it'll go caution-free. Ryan Newman back to the inside of Jeff Gordon through 3 and 4. That's going to hold those 2 up just a little bit and allow Biffle to try to pull away more in the tri-oval. That's exactly what Biffle needs, is the 12 and the 24 to really start racing each other for second place. Because Newman's behind Biffle in points, he'd prefer him to finish second over Gordon if he had to pick one or the other. I think Newman got held up in lap traffic a little bit too much, which allowed Gordon to really get in the mix and lead a handful of laps here late. And then ultimately Greg Biffle caught back up, as he has every run during this race so far, once again. But he's not going to have a lot of time to do that on the final stop if he takes 4 tires, so that's why he's going to go fuel only. Try to go from there. I'm not taking the access road next time. I'm taking it twice now. I'm not going to risk anything. I'll just get on the pit road, try not to lock the tires up at least. Whenever the last stop is going to have to be made. Knowing you're going to be on older tires to the end of the race, I'm not sure exactly when you want to pit. If you stay out long enough and a caution comes out, obviously you can pit for 4 tires under the yellow. Everybody bunched together, he's going to want to take tires. And he's not going to have to take much fuel either, because, like I said, he's only going to have to go a handful of laps. Probably get away with just a 1/4 tank of fuel. A small splash you go, will probably only be in the pit box for 3 to 4 seconds. Kyle Petty, next car in front of race leader Greg Biffle. Petty already a lap down. Coming off his best finish of the year, 13th at IRP 2 races ago. Finished on the lead lap in that race too. Petty squeezing Greg Biffle down on the racetrack. Biffle going to clear him though off turn 4. I'm fine with getting squeezed at Vegas of all 1.5 miles on this game because I can actually go to the apron with how flat this racetrack is, but I can't really do that at any other ones. And I believe we go to Kansas next. That will be tomorrow night's race. And Kansas and Darlington coming up as the next 2 races. The Darlington race will be a night race, I believe, as well, 400 miles. Kansas in the day. Then our Throwback Thursday stream Thursday night. We'll watch it Old Daytona 500. Again, as of right now, you can vote on it in the community tab. Looking like the 1998 500 as of right now. Last I checked, it had 54% of the votes. Out of the 4, you vote between 98, 99, 2002, and 2008 will be the 4 races to vote for this week. Last week, the 2006 500 won in its voting poll. How about the time when you were Ryan Blaney, you ran the smartest race on the track? NASCAR 21 Ignition, that's right. It was a different layout, but that was the best race I could have had. And I still didn't win the championship. I still ended up finishing third in the championship race at Phoenix in the finale, unfortunately. But it's what helped me get to the next round at that time. So I ended up not running well at Vegas or the Roval, so kind of got lucked out that I did win at Vegas in the first race of the round of 12. It's been a fairly clean race. I scraped the wall once this entire race so far, and we've barely made contact with another car the entire time as well. As clean as you could get. Biffle's just got to hope he manages his tires well enough during this run as he continues to pull away right now, so that way he can go fuel only to the end. He's going to go fuel only regardless. Just because I don't think I'm going to be able to run these guys down if I take 4 tires unless I pit really early. But I don't want to pit early in case the caution comes out and then get trapped a lap down at this point, because that would be terrible if that happened. It would be way too late in the race to get that back. Unless I happen to be in the free pass position, but then I'd still have to restart at the rear of the field, and we're down to a little over 40 to go. I'd be running out of time just to try to get to the front. On equal tires, too. I was able to do it in 34 laps at the start of the race. And we're making a lot of aggressive moves, too, trying to get through the field. A lot of 3-wide moves down to the apron. It worked out successfully. Michael Waltrip would be the last car in the lead lap just up ahead. 41 to go at Las Vegas. If you're just tuning in for the first time, we are caution-free tonight in this race. Try to get this run to the checker. I think once Jeff Gordon and Ryan Newman pit, I think that's when Biffle has to pit. Especially if he were to take 4 tires so he doesn't lose too much time. That'd be the only way I'd take 4. That way, if we do get a late caution, I'm not going to get screwed on the restart on old tires. I don't trust that this thing's going to go green all the way through just because of how many races we've had this season and none of them have gone caution-free. Even with the field maybe more spaced out now than ever in this race from position to position, it's still towards the end. Guys are pushing harder than ever now than before during this race. It's like Michael Waltrip in the tri-oval moving down as he tries to get by Greg Biffle. Or I should say stay in front of Biffle. Biffle trying to get by Waltrip to put him a lap down. Needs to make quick work of these lap cars and not give Newman or Gordon another chance to get to him. Into turns 3 and 4. Biffle clear of Michael Waltrip. Waltrip now the first car lap down. I believe Rusty Wallace is the last car in the lead lap in the deuce up ahead. Another 3 cars not too far out ahead of the 2. Greg Biffle really just kind of maintaining this gap over everybody else behind him. 1.1 to 1.2 seconds. We had beef stew last night. It's interesting you say that. Well, beef and noodles, but kind of the same thing. Some white rice on the side. Some corn. If anybody wants a caution right now, it probably is Rusty Wallace before he potentially goes a lap down. And maybe even Michael Waltrip so he can get the free pass before Wallace goes a lap down, because then he won't be in the free pass position anymore. Making me hungry? Maybe just a little bit. I ate like a couple hours ago. I definitely have to eat again. I'll eat something light like right before I work out. And protein after the fact. Tomorrow morning. I'll probably eat something tonight too, though. I'm not walking to the Dollar General. It's a good mile and a half, 2 mile walk. I wouldn't get there before it closes. Yeah, that's why I was gonna get just like a TV dinner or something tonight. Christopher McComas, I think I saw you in the chat earlier. I don't know if I shouted you out. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Barbecue chicken mac and cheese mashed potatoes tonight. There we go. That sounds good. That sounds hearty. Biffle door to door with Rusty Wallace into turns 3 and 4. Side drafting each other quite a bit on the backstretch. Wallace hanging strong on the outside. More he's side by side with Greg Biffle. More of a chance other drivers are going to have of trying to catch up. It's a far walk when you have to get there in a half hour. I don't feel like running. It's cold too. I'm not walking that far. Probably like in the mid-30s right now. It's been windy all day. It got up to like 41, 42 earlier. I think I saw it's supposed to be a high of like 27 on Thursday or Friday this week. Another car hitting pit road, it looks like. A few of them off turn 4 as we have 30 laps to go. About a mile from the store. I'd rather just get in my car and drive up there. $27 in November seems a little low this time of the year. That's why I say only 27. Like middle of the winter, that'd actually be kind of warm here, but this time of the year, just before Thanksgiving, that seems a little low. Still 1.1 second lead at the line. Not sure if it's Jeff Gordon or Ryan Newman that's at second right now, but whoever it is, they have not pit, so Biffle will continue to stay out. Just in case we get a caution. It's going to be at a disadvantage pitting a lap later than the second place car. Will one lap be enough to make up a second? That would be the question, though. Biffle's had the speed to run him back down. The more we look at it, the more I'm looking at a 4-tire stop. It just depends on when they pit. And there's a chance that third place could have pit already. I'm not entirely sure. There's a possibility of it. Another DEI car, Martin Truex Jr. Last car on the lead lap. Not too far up ahead of Greg Biffle. Biffle a little loose off turn 4 down on the apron that time. Trying to hold that corner. Losing a little time in the tri-oval. He was about a tenth slower than the second place car that last lap, and it was all because of the exit to turn 4. There's 2 lap cars, though, right in front of the second place car. Again, I believe it is Jeff Gordon. '85, my goodness. Be thankful. In the Bahamas. He's living the life. Quarter tank of gas left for Biffle. Didn't get that loose on the apron that time through 3-4. Second place is pitting off turn 4. .23 to go. Biffle still on the track. So I guess second and third were right by each other. Because one of them pit, the other one's still on the track as it's a 1.3 second lead, so Biffle will stay out again. Oh, Truex pulling down right in front of Biffle to pit. Biffle swung wide off turn 4 at the last second. Trying to miss him, didn't lift any extra. Still 1.2 second lead into turn 1, down to 21 laps left. No, Mark Martin just blew an engine under green flag conditions about midway through the race. Actually, it's closer to about 100 to go. It's in the second half. .20 to go this time by. 2.2 second lead for Greg Biffle. Quite a few cars have pit. Greg Biffle is going to pull the trigger to pit this time by. And he is going to still make this a fuel-only stop. So the decision to go fuel-only to try to get a much bigger lead is going to be the stop here, and it's going to be just a half a can of fuel. No tires for Greg Biffle. .20 to go for Biffle. A splash-and-go stop to make sure that he's going to cycle back out in the lead. He doesn't want to have to play catch-up with this few of laps left in the race, so they're going to pull the trigger going fuel only. Just hoping it stays green to the end. It stays caution-free throughout. And onto the racetrack he goes. Ryan Newman has not pit yet. Biffle trying to get up to speed. Down on the apron. Biffle is in third. Ryan Newman has to pit. There's one other car in the lead lap that would have to pit outside of Ryan Newman. Biffle still on the lead lap by going fuel only as well. Newman trying to stay out in case we get a caution. They trapped quite a few cars a lap down. Dale Jr. going to go a lap down. Once Biffle cycles back into the lead again. Biffle's definitely going to have to be careful on that apron, though. It's the longest he's going to have to push these tires all day today. Go about 72 to 73 laps on him. He's pitted really anywhere between that 63 to 67 lap mark all day. Try to keep it off the apron for right now. And hopefully the rest of the race, if he's got a big enough lead. Just up to second at the start-finish line that time. By as he gets up into Terry Labonte over driving turn 1. That dirty air behind Dale Jarrett. And now Earnhardt's going to get to the inside of the 16. Ryan Newman is on pit road right now. Biffle will get out in front of him. It'll be an official lead change at the start-finish line this time by. We'll see how big of a lead Greg Biffle will have. It's a pretty big one. He went fuel only to make sure he was going to have the lead. Everybody else took tires. He's got 9.1 seconds back to second place. They're going to have to be about 3/4 a second a lap faster if they're going to catch Greg Biffle in these final 15 laps. He still ran a 31.349 that last lap, so that's pretty good considering how old his tires are. Lap cars are maybe holding him up just a little bit. More contact with the 44 of Terry Labonte. Dale Jr. going to try to stay on the lead lap. Labonte is now a couple laps down. So it kind of fluctuated back and forth on what my strategy call was going to be to the end. I ended up going with this. I'd like to say I feel comfortable with it. Riggs not giving Biffle a lot of room there. Biffle squeezes underneath him. Didn't get too loose on the apron that time. Riggs not too aggressive with the side draft, and he'll go another lap down. Bobby Labonte, Dale Jarrett, Dale Jr. all at the tail end of the lead lap. Biffle's pace is definitely quick enough to hang on to the lead with what he's running right now. $12 to go at the line. If a caution were to come out with 5 or less laps to go, the race could end under yellow as well. A guaranteed green-white checker finish, or overtime finish, in this game, so possibility that could help out Biffle as well. 11 to go. 31.268 that last lap. And honestly, second place isn't really closing in that much. Slightly quicker a lap. No, fuel isn't an issue. I took enough to make it to the end. I was only going to be about 5 to 7 laps short, so half a can was good enough. I wanted to minimize the amount of time I was on pit road. If I would have taken even another half can, we would have been on pit road for another 4 or 5 seconds. I wasn't sure how big of a lead we were going to have when we got out. 10 to go. Jarrett and Earnhardt side by side. There's a lot of lap traffic in front of Dale Jr. right now. Dale Jr., Greg Biffle. Not sure exactly why I said Jr. I saw him in front of me. That's probably why. A little loose. Checking the throttle in the middle of the corner underneath Dale Jarrett. Kept it off him. Kind of slowly feel those rear tires coming out from underneath him. He's had a really low dive into the corner. Jarrett trying to side draft Biffle as much as he could, but he's going to go a lap down. Is that right rear tire's in the yellow and the tire wear indicator now for Biffle. Definitely signifying that those rear tires are burning out pretty quickly. Ricky Rudd, a little contact between Rudd and Biffle off turn 4. Rudd trying to stay in the lead lap in the 21. Not going to happen. Junior and Labonte getting by Kyle Busch in the 5. Busch trying to cross Earnhardt over off turn 2. Junior with a block on the back straightaway, and he's trying to get around the 18 still. Take of gas left for Biffle at this point in the run. He got loose, kind of overcorrected. Up the track he goes. I think got snappy. And he's going to let Jared and Rudd go. There's no need for him to really race these guys. It's probably good that that happened. He was able to hang on to it because I kind of learned my lesson quick that I'm just not going to battle these guys. There's no incentive to. No incentive to lapping these guys this juncture of the race. This big of a lead on the oldest tires Biffle's had all day. Where's the move over flag? They don't care. They're battling for positions in the closing laps. They're on the lead lap. If we were to get another yellow, they want to stay there. I say another. We are still caution free. For those of you watching for the first time that were wondering. No cautions on the final lap. So we're only a few laps away from that. So we have 5 laps to go at the start-finish line this time by for the Biff as he tries to get his 7th win of the season. They close in on Jeff Gordon a little more in the point standings. We've got a car blowing up on the inside of the racetrack right now. And it looked like one of the Evernham Dodges. I couldn't tell if that was Jeremy Mayfield or Casey Kane, but it looked like one of the two has blown a motor. They'll try to make it back to pit road. Three wide between Biffle, Rudd, and Spencer at the line. 4 laps to go. Biffle's just going to let him go. Even though Spencer's a couple laps down already, he's much slower than those lead lap cars that are passing him. So I'm going to mind my own business. Three to go at the line. Back-to-back wins for Roush Fenway Racing after Kurt Busch won the Brickyard 400 last night. A lot of wins for this organization so far this season, including a non-points paying win in a dual race at Daytona with Matt Kenseth, and he's the only driver not to win a points race this year of the 5 at Roush Fenway Racing. Loose even with just the left side tires down below that white line on the apron through 3 and 4. Jacob NASCAR, thanks for tuning in. 2 laps to go. Still an 8.5 second lead for Greg Biffle. Played the pit strategy well late. Both the rear tires burning off, but went fuel only. We stayed green. That was the big thing through this. And even if we got a caution now, the race would end under yellow. So Biffle not worried at all. Final lap. And because there are no cautions on the final lap, this will be the first caution-free race of our 2005 season. And it came in race number 19. On the 1.5 miles under the lights tonight at Vegas. Looked like there was a car that got in the wall off turn 2 as they were 3 wide up there. Likely all battling for position. They are scrambling going into 3 and 4. They're still going to have another lap left. Praying to God they don't wreck right in front of me off turn 4, and they will not. Checkered flag going to be in the air. Greg Biffle is going to win his 7th race of the season. His first on 1.5 miles. There we go. And the second half of the season starting off strong for the 6th place driver in the point standings as he tries to get back in the championship hunt. Good little momentum shifter. A max points day too, as he was able to lead the most laps and win the race despite starting last with no qualifying or practice. Yellow Subway paint scheme is the lucky charm. Aren't we 3 for 3 with this paint scheme? I know I won one other race with it. I think I might have won all 3 races with this scheme. Let's go. I know I won Martinsville with it. I'm trying to think what other race I might have had with it. I think I raced at Devil's Canyon with it too and won that one. I think I've won the only other... I'm 3 for 3 with this paint scheme. We might have to use it more often. I'll probably use it tomorrow night too, to be completely honest. Stiffy for the biff. Get stiff for the biff in the chat. 2 hour, 22-minute race. That's it. That's what happens when you have a caution-free NASCAR race. Less than 2.5 hours on a 400-mile event tonight. 168.04 miles per hour is the average race speed. 8.5 seconds margin of victory. 17 lead changes despite being caution-free. And again, no cautions at all for the first time this season. Greg Biffle ends up with 192 laps led. Dominates the race despite starting at the tail end of the field. Jeff Gordon led 9 laps, finishes in second. He came in as a points leader, so Biffle not going to gain a lot of points on him, but he should jump up in the standings themselves. Ryan Newman had a great run, finished in third after leading 63 laps. Kevin Harvick ended up with no laps led, finished fourth. And Kurt Busch rounds out the top 5 after starting on the pole. I thought Kurt Busch led the first lap, but I guess he didn't. I guess Newman ended up leading the first lap earlier in the race before Biffle took the lead at lap 34. Carl Edwards ends up finishing in 6th after starting 22nd. Tony Stewart finishes in 7th. Jimmy Johnson 8th. Mike Bliss 9th. Another top 10 for Mike Bliss this season. Checking my stats real quick, but I believe... Yep, top 10, number 15 for Mike Bliss, as he still has the most on the year. And Elliott Sadler, who's right behind him with one less top 10, came in second in points. Still a solid run. Ran top 10 all day. Finishes 10th. Tonight, our teammate Matt Kenseth led 3 laps, fell back in the second half of the race, but finished 11th. And then Mark Martin DNF'd earlier in the race and ended up finishing 41st. Casey Kane was the Evernham Dodge that blew an engine late. So Casey Kane, Terry Labonte, Mark Martin, Kenny Schrader, and Jimmy Johnson all blew engines today. Ended up with 5 DNFs. Tough break for Johnson. He was in the top 5 in points coming into this one too. So he's going to fall back quite a bit in the standings. And here is Greg Biffle in victory lane. Celebrating with teammate Matt Kenseth. Kenseth's like, man, I wish I could win one of these races once. I'm sure he'll get a win before the end of the year. He's been consistent. I think he's still top 10 in points. Banquet 400 tomorrow night at Kansas, starting at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Will be the next race on the channel. So be sure to tune in for that one. Wish you could actually drive to victory lane these games. We did at Michigan when we won, because that's on the front stretch, but there's not too many tracks where it's like that. I wish more tracks were like that. It's kind of cool for the fan experience of the grandstands too. So Jeff Gordon extends his points lead from, 19 points out to 60 now. Elliott Sadler still second in the standings. He had a top 10, but Gordon led laps. Sadler didn't, and Gordon finished second. Sadler 10th. So Jeff Gordon, again, still the points leader. Kurt Busch, third in points all by himself now. Only 5 points ahead of Carl Edwards, as he only beat him by 1 position. Neither of them led laps. Jimmy Johnson still top 5 in points despite having an engine failure. He's 5th. Greg Biffle not too far behind him. And Biffle still 6th in points. I'm surprised he didn't move up any spots. But I guess when you consider Edwards was 6th, Kurt Busch was 5th, Sadler was 10th, and Jeff Gordon was 1st in points, we probably weren't going to catch him in the standings anyway. And I think we were too far behind to actually catch Gordon and Sadler anyway as well. But that is why. And even Johnson with the DNF, we couldn't catch him. But 156 back, top 6 within 1 race worth of points right now. Heading into race number 20 of the season tomorrow night at Kansas. Another mile and a half, so maybe Biffle could get it done for back-to-back wins once again. He's done that a couple times already this year. He's going to try to do it a third. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Be sure to hit that like button. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content if you haven't already. Hopefully you enjoyed tonight's stream, and we'll be back again tomorrow for more NASCAR 06 action at Kansas. Thanks, everybody. Have a good rest of your Monday evening.